What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to ADMTech. Hope you're all doing well. Hope you're having a lovely evening. So, at the time of recording this video, it is the 24th of September and it's just around 8:30 in the evening. Last night, the official app for the track and trace system in the UK was published. And what followed was a very interesting conversation. So I want to give you my side of this conversation and what I've experienced today, and just basically have a little bit of a conversation about why this app exists, what the API protects, things like privacy, things like security, all these sorts of things. Whether you're actually at risk of losing your data through this app and the API that supports it. So yes, for those of you that don't know, the UK hasn't had a proper track and trace app throughout this entire pandemic. And in my opinion, without getting too political, obviously that's not very good. That isn't a very, we're now facing further restrictions, and if we maybe had a track and trace system in place earlier on in the year, maybe we wouldn't be facing these restrictions that we are facing right now. But nevertheless, I feel like it's also important to say that, at least it's here, at least it's using the proper framework that Apple and Google have actually created. So earlier on in the year, the government said, no, we are not using this Apple and Google API for whatever reason. They wanted to outsource it to a separate sort of company and basically get the app data all privately. So the app, so this other app would have been completely private and completely separate to what you would have had on your iPhone or your Android device. So I think they spent quite a bit of money on that, a few $100 million, and they scrapped it and they moved towards this more sort of secure system of the Apple and Google API, which is what other countries are using. So I'll just give you a quick list of some countries that are currently using it as well. Germany, Gibraltar, I believe Latvia, Malta, Mexico, Ecuador, Denmark, Czech Republic, Croatia, Canada, Brazil, and Australia. There's an absolute ton of them. So this is not just something that's come out of the blue. This is something that other countries around the world are using. And this isn't just something that's just appeared, basically. Which I feel like is really important to try and say, because there's a lot of misinformation that's being passed around. So I'm trying to sort of make sure that it all makes sense to you. Basically, Apple and Google made something here, and they opened it up to everybody. So all these countries can come in, and within this system here that Apple and Google built, they set up a few sort of priorities like security. I will tell you actually. So there were a few requirements as to what Apple and Google wanted. So you can find all of this information on the website link below. I'm not going to say the name because it triggers YouTube. It might not even happen on this video, but I don't want to sort of trigger anything and get unnecessary attention to the channel. So yes, the link to this is all below in the description. It's 7 pages long. It's just a PDF. So I'm going to just sort of read you through a few lines of this so you guys can actually understand what this is. So this is on Apple, by the way. The goal of this is to assist public health authorities in their efforts to fight the C word by enabling exposure notifications in a privacy-preserving manner. And the system is designed so that the identities of the people of a device comes in contact with are protected. Okay, so when I got the app this morning, I didn't have to enter any personal details. I didn't have to enter anything. All I had to enter was my postcode, but not even like the full postcode. So you just enter the area. So in my case, it's like a 3-letter. So it's, just for example, say GR4. Yeah, that would be what I entered in, and then they would assess that entire area. Okay. So yes, you actually enter no personal information whatsoever. But that is something that's really important to know. On. You do not enter anything. Yes, you could say there's plenty of things on your phone that have your personal information, but in this specific app and on the Apple official statement, this FAQ, they do not say anything about personal data. So access to the technology will be granted only to public health authorities. If they create an app, it must meet specific criteria around privacy, security, and data control. The public health authority will be able to access a list of beacons provided by users confirmed as positive. So you have to test positive for them to even access the data, okay? If you test positive, you also have the option to consent that is allowed. So even more secure, okay? So say I get it, I test positive, I then enter this into the app, as you should do. I probably have the option to share that data. Obviously, the idea of this is that you do share the data. So you have to consent. And the system was also designed so that Apple and Google do not have access to information related to any identifiable individual. That kind of rules that encompasses everything. Basically, all this app does is use your Bluetooth. It pings to other phones with Bluetooth, because everyone's Bluetooth should be on. My Bluetooth's on all the time anyway because of the AirPods. The argument that this drains your battery is a complete lie. It might use it a little bit more, but it's not going to kill your phone in like 5 minutes. Do you know what I mean? Like, how much data do you think it's going to get? You know, like if I stay here all day in this house, it's not going to have anything around, so it's pointless. And you can also turn it off if you're not going to be using it as well. So like at night time, you can just turn it off if you want to. So where is the data stored? And who has access to this data? If a user decides to participate, exposure notification data will be stored and processed on device. Other than the random Bluetooth identifiers that are broadcast, no data will be shared by the system with a public health authority unless one of the following 2 scenarios takes place. Scenario number 1, if a user chooses to report a positive diagnosis of the C word, the user's most recent keys to their Bluetooth beacons will be added to the positive diagnosis list shared by the public health authority. So the other users who came in contact with those beacons can be alerted. So if you can't imagine each phone's got a beacon, okay? If my beacon's red, and I've not been around anyone, then everyone will be okay. But if if my beacon's red and then I've been shopping or I've been, out somewhere for the day, all of the other people's beacons will turn red, okay? So if you kind of imagine it visually, you just imagine things like that. And scenario number 2, if a user is notified that they have come into contact with an individual who is positive for the C word, the system will share the day the contact occurred, how long it lasted, and the Bluetooth signal strength of that contact, as well as the type of report, such as confirmed by test, clinical diagnosis, or self-report. Any other information about that contact will not be shared. So say your neighbour down the street, you're someone who lives on the same street as you, say there's like say you went shopping, for example. If they had it and I was around them, my beacon would again turn red, and all I'd get is probably a notification saying you've been in contact with somebody, okay? I wouldn't get any information about their name, I wouldn't get any information about who they are, where they live, what they do for a job, right? It's purely, your beacon was green, now it's red, self-isolate. That's simply it. And then, yes, so this PDF goes into the monetization. There's no monetization of your data. And basically, you can read it for yourself, and people need to see this because I think that it's a shame that people are so skeptical about it. Yeah, yes, I do understand that you're using your phone every day and you take it out with you, but that is the point. That's the reason. In this country, in England right now, the reason why we're facing these restrictions again is because, the idea is that the younger generation, so my generation, the 20 to 29-year-olds are the most, we're the spreaders, okay? Because we're going out drinking, we're going out to restaurants and stuff, and yes, you can get political with that because of the whole eat out to help out kind of system, but we're not going to do that here, okay? Purely, the idea is we contribute something so that we can eventually get past this virus, so we can move on forward as a society. Now, the thing is with that is that people take this and spin it in such a wrong way. It really has to be said that the general idea for people who are over 40 are not happy with the idea of this app having their data without realising that if they're on Facebook, they're probably having a lecture in the house somewhere. We aren't, something that's designed to help you is facing backlash because people don't believe in it. And that kind of stems into this idea that we're never ever going to get past this and we're just in a rotating cycle. It's just going to keep going and going and going because people don't have the capability to process this information. Yes, I 100% agree that you shouldn't believe everything that you read and you shouldn't believe everything that you are told. You should be able to make your own well-informed decisions about things. I completely agree. I completely get it. But when you have two giants like Apple and Google, mainly Apple, okay, if you're on Android, you're a bit more, I think you might have a little bit less protection, I guess, but the idea is that these two companies have stated publicly that this data cannot go anywhere and that there's nothing personal about you, okay? And people say, well, I don't really trust Apple or Google with my security. Look, the thing is that you're on Facebook, you're on Instagram, you're on WhatsApp, you're probably on TikTok, okay? The idea is that there's nothing that's quite sacred these days. There's nothing that's nothing's protected. But something like this that is important, that can actually help society and can help people move on with their lives, because that's what we all want, is really important to just say, okay, well, you know what? I'm going to sign it up. Hopefully, you never have to use this application anyway. Hopefully, you install it 6 months down the line when these restrictions get lifted. Hopefully, your beacon is never lit up. Okay? Hopefully, your beacon stays green the entire time. And that's the idea that people need to get into their heads. Just let it run. Let it do its thing. Because at the end of the day, if you're going to a shop and somebody's stood in this queue next to you, and you've been stood right next to them and they've got it and you've got it now, how would you know? How would you know that they had a test? That they... Do you know what I mean? How would you know that you're safe? So perfect example. Say someone's got a symptom, right? They've gone for a test, but that test has come back positive. They should then enter in that data into the app. But they haven't self-isolated. They've gone out to the shop. They're spreading it then. They are literally spreading it. So when say you're stood next to them in the queue, that app would detect, A, you're not self-isolating, B, you stood next to me or 20 other people with a beacon on, right? We need to alert you. So that's someone. They've gone out and they've done that. Absolute idiot, okay? You're a fool. You've gone home thinking, yeah, fine, normal day. And then you've gone to see like your grandma, your mum, like a friend or a relative, and you've passed that on without realising, okay? That's something that happens every single day. People probably do that, but the idea of this app is it's sort of like an extra barrier. If your phone doesn't ping, you have the subconscious kind of feeling that you are a little bit more protected, that you're a little bit safer around the people that you live with and your bubble, your 6. I guess it's a generational thing. 20 to 29-year-olds, we've all got smartphones, we're all doing it every single day. There's no reason why we shouldn't have it. You know, of an aware generation, I think our generation is much more on board with this idea, which is amazing. And that's what you need to see. But yeah, that's really encouraging for me. But I think there needs to be an initiative. There needs to be a reason why people come out here and do this. If this app is not going to ruin your life, you can turn it off. They could have put in the most abusive control into this application. They could have said, right, you need to put your date of birth, your postcode, where you work. Like, they haven't done that, okay? If they wanted to, they could put it like that, you know, right? There's nothing stopping that. But the idea is that, you know, Apple and Google have said that this is protected, you are safe, you can turn it off, you can delete the app, the API is gone. If in 14 days, you've still received nothing, your data's gone like that, okay? So it's constantly deleting your data as well. And you can literally view everything that is being tracked. It's just pinging Bluetooth. It's as if your smart speaker's there. It's as if you've got your AirPods in. It's just looking for a connection. And if there's no connection there, then that's fine. I should also mention, obviously, that you have to be around that someone for around 10 minutes, I believe. So, yes, that's difficult and it's not the most perfect system, but I'd rather have something like that in place that actually protects people. I'd rather you have to be in that situation for 10 minutes. So, at least I know that if my phone says I need to self-isolate, I can self-isolate. And it's just as simple as that. It's just as simple as that. This app's not going to harm you. It's just there as a tool. Hopefully your beacon never lights up. Yeah. Hopefully we never even have to look at this app again. We can look back in a year or two and think, wow, what a crazy time. But thankfully, at least companies came out and said, you know what, we're going to try and make this a bit easier. At least somebody's taking control of it. At least there's organisations that are trying to get this contained so we can go back to normality. I'd rather live in a world like that. And obviously the app doesn't run on everything. I think you have to have quite a recent device. I think the last device that it runs on an iPhone for is the iPhone 6. A lot of people are up in arms about that. End of the day, your phone's 7 years old, 7 years old. I understand, but and then people blame Apple and Google for that, and it's like, no, man, no. It's about the Bluetooth. It's about how the Bluetooth works, okay? Because my iPod Touch from really 2009, it's not going to work, is it? Do you know what I mean? But no, my advice to everyone is to obviously just stay safe, do what you have to do your part, just install the app, read through that documentation, try and educate yourself a little bit more. Just install the app and have a look through it. Get used to the idea of it, and then if you're not happy with that, then just delete it. But the idea is that you shouldn't be concerned, because at the end of the day, it's there to offer you that little bit of aid. And me personally, I'd rather have a little bit of aid than have nothing at all. Please stay safe. Please just do your bit. We're all in the same boat, but I feel like people have to have this conversation a little bit, and it's a weird one to have, because obviously there's just so much to learn. But this is not going to harm you anywhere near as what TikTok would. And for God's sake, I do not have an issue with my data being shared with somebody if it means that I've potentially saved a life, if it means that I've potentially helped someone, okay? That's just how I feel. That's just me being real, you know what I mean? That's exactly how I feel about this. So yes, please have a look. Please just read into it. Click the link below and just see for yourself. Just have a look. Don't be obviously form your own opinion. Listen to this and say that I'm talking complete ramble. That's absolutely fine. But I'd rather, as I said, that my beacon never lit up. I'd rather that if it did light up, I've potentially saved someone. And I'd rather just get out of this as soon as possible.